Are you concerned about your dog carrying KSD, aka Kirby Speedrunner disease? Well, good news. Not only is this extremely rare in most dogs, but there is only one common symptom you need to look out for. Does your dog want to walk? If so, they're fine. Do they want to run? If so, they're as KSD free as he can be. If you ask them to go for a walk and they start slide kicking, well, you're in trouble. You probably want to watch this video start to finish while also liking and subscribing, both of which really help me out and I'd super appreciate it, thank you. And if your dog doesn't have any symptoms, or you don't even have a dog and you're wondering, Klaire, what the heck are you doing? Still do everything that I mentioned, please, thank you. So there I was, working my dead-end job, not in a good mood, as my mind was racing. Then suddenly, out of nowhere, inspiration hit. You know, for something called speed running, how often does Kirby actually need to run in these things? And by running, I don't mean moving one leg forward followed by the other in very quick succession like a normal person. I'm a freak, a puppy, if you will, and all I'm asking for is double tapping a direction on the ground to make Kirby move faster. And I mean, sure, copy abilities being the way they are kinda makes running a moot point, but you're still on the ground for enough of these runs. Boss fights are a thing, dash attacks can be used on the ground. If you're gonna use them in the air, you need to use them on the ground first. Walls are a thing that exist that can make using dash attacks a bad idea. Unless, of course, you're subscribed to the Kirby's Adventure Theorem like I am, baby! Point is, I got curious and started looking through speedruns to see how often running was a thing that people did. And for some extra fun, I didn't count using dash attacks, or rather running in order to do a dash attack, as running. I know, you need to run in order to use them like I just said, but it didn't feel right to me. If I'm spamming Condor ahead with Wing, I'm not gonna think, wow, running in this Kirby game is so good. Instead, I am gonna post a 30+ minute long YouTube editorial analyzing how running in the Kirby series is not all that it's cracked up to be, and that people need to know the truth. Or if you're normal, you'll probably just keep using Wing. Yeah, sure, that works too. Before we get any further, though, I do want to slow down for a bit and give a huge thank you to my head-patting Fluffle fan puptrons on my Patreon: Biohazard, Tyke Vilafar, the Cerebral that likes strawberry Pop-Tarts, Lydia Scribe, and remember, Miss K says, Oogaday Boogaday, I am Evil Klaire. I hate Parasol and love kittens. I love you all. Check out my Patreon in the description, by the way, for neat perks, including early access to all my videos. And by that, I mean future videos. Now, before we really get into things, I should mention that running doesn't even exist in every Kirby game. And this isn't me suddenly deciding to include spin-offs. No, we're not counting any of those. Although Epic Yarn's Car Dash would have given me a lot of material. That thing is really cool. I mean, in the Game Boy entries, there's just not a run. Kirby started in Dreamland with a light strut, learned how to run in their first adventure, and then forgot how to immediately after. This doesn't mean that there aren't ways to speed Kirby up. Dreamland 1 is especially interesting considering it's the first game in the series. It has some weird stuff because of that, most notably, when enemies hit you, Kirby actually gets launched away from them. My vocabulary is excessive, to say the very least, so launching may not be the right word, but you still get a decent distance by getting hit. In an interview, the current director of the Kirby series, Shinya Kumizaki, had stated that the team that works on Kirby all love them so much, their least favorite part of making the games is seeing Kirby get hurt, taking damage, stuff like that. Basically the polar opposite of Dreamland 1. You show this speedrun to anybody on that dev team, their hopes and dreams crushed forever. As for Dreamland 2, it's less interesting. Enemies don't help Kirby quite as much, but that's partially because the animal buddies are a thing that exists, not to mention copy abilities. Not to mention they really don't want you that far. Why hurt Kirby for a little bit of extra distance when, like, burning is right there? Who cares if you can or can't run anyway? Koo still has a dash, and it's still absurd. Kine, even if it's locked underwater, has a dash too. And even on land, his jump, or short hop, whichever one you want to use, look at his little boing boing, is actually pretty good in terms of how quickly it can move. And jumping to go faster is definitely something we'll be seeing more of later. Kirby, Koo, and Kine all have options that help them go faster, and none of those are running. Rick's got nothing, but he is a hamster. He's cute. That's gotta count for something, right? No? Bummer. But even when running is in a game and it isn't quite useless, it could still not be worth it. For example, in Kirby 64, running is definitely your fastest option before getting burning like 5 seconds into the level. It's still Kirby 64 at the end of the day though, so that doesn't quite mean the run is good. Meaning to say, have you played Kirby 64 recently? It's slow. Bad? Not quite, but slow? Well, everything I said applies to any percent anyway. If we're talking hundo though, then the little speed boost you get can actually be very helpful. At least when using Stone plus Ice, since that goes a little bit farther and faster when you use a dash. Although, if we're speaking realistically, how much of hundo do you use Stone plus Ice for? I'll give you a hint. I made a Kirby 64 speedrunning flowchart. It'll answer any question you have. It's so cool. There are other weird cases too, if you're wondering. For example, in Kirby Squeak Squad, slide kicking, which we'll be talking a lot more about slide kicking later. Don't you Return to Dreamland fans out there worry. It's better than running, although not by that much for Squeak Squad. You'll still want to slide kick during the minuscule fraction of a speck of a millisecond you aren't breaking the game apart with wheel. But if there's an enemy or something in the way and you can't slide kick, running's not that much worries. That said, slide kicking can do the impossible and still have periodic uses even when you have wheel. You see, wheel is great, but having a super slide kick into wheel is even better. There may be a term for this that isn't super slide kick, but I came up with super slide kick in my head, like literally when I was typing the script. I love it a lot, so I'm gonna stick with it. If you can't look at the screen though, basically a super slide kick is when you slide kick off of a ledge and float as you're going off. Kirby will carry the momentum of the slide kick into that float. It's pretty crazy, and since it's a normal Kirby thing, you can combo that into wheel for some insanity. It's still typically not quite as worth it as just using wheel. Wheel's very good, but in some categories like NCA, or no copy abilities, when you hear me say NCA throughout the video, I'm talking about no copy abilities, or Metal Percent, which is the most valid speedrun of all time, this super slide kick is essential. Also, short hopping, like you did with Kine in Dreamland 2, is technically faster than running in Nightmare in Dreamland. I'll get more into the details of that with the next game that we're going to talk about, but unlike that one, the difference here is hardly noticeable, to the point where nobody actually does short hops when they're speedrunning this game, opting to just run instead because it's a lot easier. Which makes sense and all, there are a lot of things that are more difficult that you would really make sure you want to get right. But when this puppy gets world record because I saved 1/1,000,000th of a millisecond by spamming short hops, you'll see the error of your ways. But yeah, okay, none of these have been running good, but they really haven't been running bad yet. Time to get into the nitty-gritty with the games you're running is rarely, if ever, worth it. But first, have you ever wondered what I smell like? Hey, don't click off the video, I promise this isn't anything weird. I'm just saying, if you want to know my scent, I have a candle. It is called the Vanilla Fluffle Scented Candle, and I think it came out really, really well. At the checkout, you can either decide to get a normal candle or one with a wooden wick if you like to hear that crackling sound. I don't think that's it, but that's the sound that I wanted to make in the moment. Not only is this website a trusted source, and you can have a little more Fluffle in the house, and if you use the link in the description down there, you will also be supporting me for no extra cost. Thank you very much again to Candle for this opportunity. This isn't a sponsored video or anything, I just wanted to let you guys know I have a candle now. Now, on with the video! To start with, I already talked about Kniddle and Squick already. It's time to talk about Katam. Amazing Mirror has a lot of super fun categories that I never stop talking about in my videos. All sprays, anyone? And one thing that every run has in common is that running is useless in all of them. For whatever reason, in Amazing Mirror, jumping gives you an insane speed boost, something noticeable even to the unfamiliar. Try running through a room and then going through that same one via short hops, or heck, full hops too, whichever. I just tend to do short hops because I can chain more of them together and it feels satisfying, but you do get a bigger speed boost with a full hop, so realistically, it's a moment-to-moment kind of thing for which is better. What matters to me right now is that running is worse than both, so if you want to play this game quickly, well, don't run. Just make sure you're not quite as amazing mirror-pilled as I am. Try moving around in your day-to-day life with full hops. It's probably slower and your legs will hurt, but it's amazing mirror-inspired, so it's okay, right? As cool as jumping a bunch is, and it is, we're not lying here, a lot of people in the know, shall we say, are waiting for something specific. If you remember back to when you started watching this video, like 2 months ago, I already said it. Slide kicks, slide kicks, slide kicks. And we're not talking your garden variety Squeak Squad slide kicks, no. I hear sometimes that Return to Dreamland didn't change up the series enough from previous entries, but clearly these people have never held down while they're on solid ground and rhythmically pressed 1 or 2. Both buttons work. Starting with Return to Dreamland and lasting over a full decade, slide kicking is the ultimate form of movement when you don't have a copy ability. Of course, if you know this game, you know it's the wing show for most of it, but there's still like 1 room that you get to slide kick through. Unless you're doing multiplayer, then you just grab Meta Knight and you go... But if you're broke and only have 1 rear emote, you could also do 1-player NCA. I don't really know too many people that run that category, but it sounds like fun. I would do it. It's much of the same story with Triple Deluxe as it is with most games going forward. Is running bad? Yeah, slide kicking is right there, pal. I'm not sure if Triple Deluxe and Robobot are really viable or fun with NCA, given you'd be very limited with Sunstones, or Code Cubes in Robobot's case, but slide kicks are still really, really good, while running is really, really bad. That said, a mechanic was actually added that made slide kicks even better. If you're in the air at all and you press down twice in quick succession, Kirby will do a fast fall. And believe it or not, this saves a lot of time throughout the run, given fire doesn't inherently have a fast way to get to the ground, and you're using that for most of the playthrough. But even ignoring that, if you slide kick off of a ledge, you've already pressed half the buttons that you need to press. You just need to tap down 1 more time to get that fast fall, and it is seamless. When you're running, it's a lot more awkward since you have to hold forward and then double tap down. You actually need to double tap it, you're not already halfway there. You've got the circle pad at least, which, I don't know, maybe it can help. I don't really see how it would help at all, I don't know why I brought that up. But hey, I've seen freakier and I've definitely seen deakier. The point is, this makes slide kicking better, and while you can argue it doesn't make running worse, slide kicks being better than ever makes running worse. Which brings us to the next game where, once again, take a guess, running is outclassed by slide kicking. There's really nothing to add for Planet Robobot, except maybe that if you're doing True Arena ability solos, you now have a long lobby to run through, and not every copy ability has a mobility dash attack. Meaning yes, there's a real category that's not NCA, where slide kicks are genuinely one of your best, most consistent options, and running is not. Yikes! That said, Robobot may have flown a bit too close to the sun because you also control the Robobot armor! You may not think much of this at first, but if you remember what I said earlier in the video, flashback. Puppy, 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 head pets, like and subscribe, watch the video from start to finish, improve my analytics, please, I am begging you. Oh, also, when I say running, I mean double tapping forward twice to go faster. Head pets. Yeah, when you use the Robobot armor, which is a decent amount of times throughout the run, you basically have to be running. No abilities give you a mobility boost, and even if they did, you never start with them unless it's something unique and weird like the jet armor or the wheel armor. So, yeah, running good. Not so fast! Is running actually good? Don't forget about how bad running is with regular Kirby. Remember the True Arena? Remember the first half of the first room of the first level of the game? Huh? Robobot running is only good because it's all you have. If any other options existed, you know those would be better. I could go back and forth on this, but this video is actually really long, so I'm gonna leave it at, yeah, running is actually kind of bad, but if nothing else, it's not that bad. It's just bad, outclassed and only good in small doses by a technicality. But since it's usually bad by that same technicality, I'll take it. And then it's back to business with Star Eyes. Yeah, there's nothing quite like the Robobot armor in this game, and when you're running, you aren't slide kicking. Therefore, running is bad. There isn't even anything interesting to add. You use Wing and Sizzle Meta Knight for so much of the game that even slide kicking is rarely needed. If anything, I guess you use Bluster Bomb for bosses. Air Bob spam is strong, or as I like to say, abs are strong, yeah! And you would need to be running to do that, except not really. You just slide kick, or you're on Meta Knight and you could do that, or you're on a Wing buddy. I don't know. This is also another game with a very long lobby for the boss rush. The only difference being that this one's called the Ultimate Choice and it's not called the True Arena. Like, I don't know, what choice is there? To run or to slide kick? Obviously you're gonna slide kick. Oh yeah, the difficulty's later. That's right. Despite how much of a leap forward the next game in the series was for Kirby in every step of the way, Forgotten Land still falls into some of the same trappings as the Return to Dreamland style games. Case in point, running is bad. It's still slide kicks to nobody's surprise, but the why of slide kicks are completely different now. The slide kick itself hasn't been changed, but what you can do afterward has. Well, I guess it has this annoying auto lock thing, but if you know how to get around it, it's not too bad. Definitely a barrier of entry, but it's slide kicking, come on, like, how hard can that be? Before a slide kick ends, now you can jump out of it. And since short hopping is a thing you can do in this game, one of Kirby's fastest form of movement is to genuinely chain slide kicks and short hops together. Forgotten Land may very well be the most popular game for NCA because of just this, but slide kicking sees plenty of use even in categories like any percent, all waddle dees, full on hundo, even the ultimate cups. When using an ability like Fire or Tornado, which carry this game, you can get a slide kick into a short hop into the ability, and yeah, especially for Fire, it works really well. Because of all of these factors and other things such as rolling being more useful as well, although rolling is very situational, Kirby and the Forgotten Land gets the Puppy Award for worst run in the whole series. Worst Kirby is running. I mean, the speedruns for this game, they're definitely not the worst in the series. They're really cool, actually. With all of this entire video having been said, I'm sure the #1 question on everybody's mind is, what the heck was the point of all of this? To answer your question of is running bad in every game, believe it or not, no, it isn't. There are games where it's actually good to just run, and while copy abilities are obviously better, running will always have a genuine use. The gatekeeper game between the good and the bad, to me, has got to be Superstar Ultra. This is a game where, for certain, running is good. It's only good considering it's your only option, but I'm a bit more lenient towards this one considering that, unlike Crystal Shards, there's a very noticeable difference between walking and running, and KSSU in general is much faster paced. Even if you ignore that though, which if you do, like, fine, just don't ignore me, okay? Have you seen Meta Knight's run with Meta Quick and MKU, or Meta Nightmare Ultra? Holy moly, he goes fast! MKU is a fantastic mode, easily one of the best in the game. I really want to be able to talk more about it someday. But let's actually talk about the games where running is good. And, you know, it's pretty funny. In my longer video from last week about how insane mixing is, I said Forgotten Land had the easiest mixes in the series, and Adventure had the hardest. Now, I'm saying that Forgotten Land has the worst run in the series, and saying that Adventure has the best. Adventure has got some unique physics compared to the rest of the series, where running will genuinely impact how you engage with the environment far more than in any other Kirby game. For example, running down a slope not only gives you insane speed, but your jump distance? Look at this, it's crazy! Unless you're just listening to the video, I don't want to make you look if you're doing that. Just keep on being the best you that you can be. Of course, there's also the Kirby's Adventure theorem regarding walls and how you have to be running in order to make that happen. For another video callback, mixing oftentimes requires running in order for setups to be consistent and easy. And, you know, fast. Walking in Adventure is kinda slow, so whenever you can, you really want to run. And, okay, for sure, running actually peaked at Adventure, which is really funny to say, but it's good in other games too. Surprise, surprise. In a very weird, but befitting of the game we're about to talk about, turn of events, Kirby Superstar has one of the better run speeds of the series. Kinda. The standard run speed, it's fine, nothing special, kind of bordering on that gatekeeper territory that something like Superstar Ultra was, and not that good plus just necessary equals ratio, you're bad. But, of course, this is Kirby Superstar, and nothing makes sense, so when you inhale an enemy, your run speed is actually slightly faster. Speedrunners use this to their advantage multiple times, notably at the beginning of Romka, or Revenge of Mennonite. I love saying Romka, though. Just try saying it out loud. Pause the video, come right back, but say Romka out loud, you'll feel incredible. Anyway, the Kirby speedrunners use it at Romka because they mix for Crash in the first room and not Jet. That's a story for its own video. But on top of that, the distance you move when you jump while having an enemy inhaled also goes way farther. This is something that runners have to actually keep their eye out for in G-Co room number 1. Or G-Co room number 2, I guess, because the first one, you're just moving forward. G-Co means Great Cave Offensive. Kirby Superstar is a weird game, okay? Overall, it isn't quite as good as the run in Adventure, but considering it's actually useful here, I don't know, I think that's pretty cool. And those two, 3 if you count Ultra I suppose, are the only games where running universally is good. Now, mind you, I do say universally for a reason. Remember, there are a few where it has niches, like 64 and Squeak Squad, but there are also cases like Dreamland 3 where it's category dependent. In any percent, you're gonna be doing a lot of running for all of 2 levels, and then never again since you're gonna be mashing the Go Fast Dash button. Sorry, I'm not being fair to Dreamland 3 here. In World 2, you also gotta hit the Kind Go Fast Dash button. That was my bad. Sorry. I was in a dark place. However, in other categories, thinking mainly Best Ending and Hundo, but maybe Boss Push to some extent too, running is very good. Walk speed in Dreamland 3 is unbearably slow in a casual setting, so you can only imagine what it's like in the context of a speedrun. On top of that, Animal Buddy variety is much higher, and buddies like Rick and Nago definitely move way faster with their dash. Really, it's only Kine and Koo that don't, which is really funny since they're the only things that make up any percent. And also, Kine has a run on the ground, just not underwater, which is the only place that you're going to be using Kine in any percent. Can't keep it in anymore. Speedrunning is like a comedy of errors, you guys. It's so bad. But aside from those 3 games, nothing. The timeline goes, Kirby learned how to run in Adventure, forgot how to in Dreamland 2, remembered for Superstar, taught their friends in Dreamland 3, had a hard time moving in general in Crystal Shards, then found better and faster alternatives in every game since. Sad. Is what I would say if this video came out before Kirby's Return to Dreamland Deluxe, but it didn't. Well, many describe Forgotten Land as the experience that ushered us into a new and exciting era of Kirby. The real ones who know about running know that it was actually Return Deluxe, since running is now actually faster than slide kicking. It's still Return to Dreamland, so wing is still mostly all you need. Plus, the first mix is halfway through the first room instead of having fire in the second and then doing the mix in the third. But hey, a win is a win. Besides, NCA is always a thing if you like to run. Well, there you go. Make Kirby run for the whole category. Awesome. Unfortunately, the lobby for the True Arena is back to being super small again, so you don't get to show off your stuff with running there, but beggars can't be choosers at this point. This was after a good, I don't know, 12 years, 11 and a half if you're being technical, of running being bad. Just take what you can get. But okay, really, to actually ask this question, what was the point of all of this? Was there any point in all of this? No, not really. But the more I thought about it, the more I just couldn't resist making a video about how speed running isn't always what you'd expect. I make all of this sound fancy, but really the whole video was just a joke. One singular joke about how weird game mechanics can be. I'm not sure if I would actually call running bad per se, but I genuinely think movement is one of the more interesting and unique things about Kirby. Even taking copy abilities away, very rarely is the simple act of holding forward to run your best option. And even when it is, there are other factors that you have to think about, like, should I jump? Should I be using an ability if I'm playing NCA? Do I want to slide kick in certain points instead? It's one of the things that makes Kirby speedrunning so interesting, although presenting it in this format was just a silly puppy move. What can I say? I just like being silly. Anyways, I have been Klaire, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in another video. Bye-bye. I think people came to take me because I have KSD. Uh-oh. I thought this was just a silly joke. What do I do? What do I do? Ah! Oh my god! Oh my god! You guys are taking me away! They're taking me! Help! Help me! Help me! Subscribe to the channel! Maybe if you subscribe, they will take me away! Bye!